Yeah, motherfuckers go bang.
Press A to play.
Alright, 3, 2.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that.
Oh, nice.
And we're back.
We're back? We're back.
Reverse alphabetical order, you say. I'm gonna be lame and like go and try and get some power-ups because I keep getting owned in this castle.
I'm actually completely fine with that because the alternative is me going like, you know what, let me try out the castle, and then nobody would want to see that.
You wanna try out the castle?
God, no.
Oh, this is so much snappier.
Right? Yeah.
Oh my god, I think you just changed my world.
Yeah, so to anyone watching who, like, not right now, but if anyone is from the future and checking this out on YouTube, we're so sorry about the image quality in the first hour or so, because, yeah.
And also in all our previous episodes.
Yeah, the TV was in eco mode, which is... I don't even understand how that's still legal, but it is. Yeah, it's good. We're good now. We're good now. We're in gaming mode. We've got all this stuff calibrated perfectly. Look at that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it looks so much better as well.
So, stupid question then, what exactly is eco mode?
Eco mode is... I don't even know why it exists, because it to me feels like it's a showroom mode, which actually, funnily enough, also is available on most of these sets. But eco mode is basically a mode where a lot of the options are taken away from you because the sort of main priority of that mode is to keep the power usage down. So a lot of things like brightness and contrast and the refreshing rate, all those kinds of things, you cannot change those, or only in a very limited way, which is horrifying. So what you should always do for like a console is go into gaming mode and then just turn off all the post-processing bullshit, which is like intelligent frame creation and like super resolution and stuff like that. All of those things, just turn them off, and you just want to go for an uncompromised image as much as possible, which is what we've done right now.
I learned something today. So yeah, it's entirely possible that me, being the ignoramus, was the one that put her on eco mode in the first place.
A lot of the time they have that as the go-to mode when you turn it on.
Oh, okay.
It's really weird and annoying, but TVs aren't... A lot of TVs aren't made to appeal to people who know what looks good, but to appeal to what people think looks good, or... you know, to their conscience, where it's all about power usage and stuff. But like it's like, for example, like the intelligent frame creation stuff, that's always on, for example, standard, even though it's horrifying and should never ever be used for anything apart from sports, maybe. Like that could be a thing, but that's seriously it.
Frank pulling zero punches here.
Tom Cruise, not maybe the best person to use his backup, but still, like Tom Cruise, this is one of the things I do really agree on when it comes to him, where he has also like put out like these short videos where it's like, for God's sake, please turn this off, because you're basically letting your TV make up in between frames. You're basically just going against everything the original creator of a movie or TV show or whatever. You're going against everything they sort of intended.
Huh. And Tom Cruise said something about this.
Oh yeah. There's more people in Hollywood. Yeah.
That's an interesting conversation to have, though, right? Because I remember watching an interview about this at one point, specifically because I think it was The Hobbit that like filmed in a different.
Oh, 48, yeah.
Yeah. And so like The Hobbit was filmed at a different frame rate than most movies, and so someone asked, but why do you film at 24 frames per second? And the answer was something like, well, the audience has kind of gotten used to that frame rate. And they associate that with, like, you know, fiction or movies as a whole when they see it, even though they don't know what exactly it is. And so it actually does matter to the way like a movie feels subjectively to the audience, which is kind of interesting. And then as a result, then the editing industries learn to use that sometimes to blend things that they want to blend, or to change things that they want to be perceived a specific way. So if you mess with that, it changes what it is you're seeing, right? You're letting the computer figure out what frame to insert in the middle or whatever it is. But then that begs the question from my side, but then why don't we just film at a higher frame rate? Like if audiences are looking for TVs that have a higher frame rate, or artificially increasing the frame rate, should we not just consider that a new standard might be necessary?
It's a couple of things, because the funny thing is that people did notice. People did notice in theaters and didn't like it.
Oh yeah.
So that's, I'd say, one. The second one is that if you were to shoot everything at a higher frame rate, that would cost a lot more money and a lot more work when it comes to stuff like CGI as well. It's like literally twice the frames that you're gonna have to use CGI on. But also, the thing is that people just aren't used to, because I mean, objectively, there's nothing that makes 24 frames better than 48 or anything else. It's completely arbitrary. But it basically oh, nice. I mean, you could argue for us choosing to go for a higher frame rate and audiences just having to get used to it, and in the end it will actually in a lot of ways be, you know, better, because it's more visual information. You can do a lot more with it. And we also like high frame rates with games, for example, and documentaries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then you would, as a filmmaker, as a studio, be paying more money to film something that for probably years will be experienced by a lot of people as inferior. So it's like, I'd say it's like marketing suicide to go for it. So it's just kind of this weird situation where it's just the way it is. Also, maybe even with films, I do think there is something to be said for a frame rate that does feel off, that does feel choppy or otherworldly, because it, weirdly enough, maybe does kind of help with a sort of disconnect between the real world and the cinematic one. Like, that's why we, for example, like, documentaries and soap operas are in a higher frame rate, and we don't mind it over there, because that's supposed to be more analog to, like, our actual lives.
Yeah, that's why, like, fiction is 24 frames, but soap operas and stuff are
Yeah.
higher, yeah. Reality, I think, is also like that.
Yeah.
Reality TV.
I never thought about this before. But I remember
With games, it really depends on the game. Like, there are games, funnily enough, where you don't want the highest frame rate possible, because there are games, especially with certain post-processing effects like motion blur and stuff like that, it does help a lot of games to feel more cinematic, and you don't ever want to play a game in 24 frames, but there are actual cases where 30 frames will, weirdly enough, feel more pleasant than 60, or where 60 will feel more pleasant than 120. It's not the norm, I'd say, but there are those cases, actually.
I remember watching the Marvel movies and realizing for the first time that I was looking at a slower frame rate. And it was in like some of the fight scenes or something like that. And it struck me, that it didn't seem weird. And I almost felt like it should be weird or something. But it didn't strike me as like, nothing looked off about the movie. I never stopped to think about why that might be, though. As usual, I'm learning stuff.
The funny thing about movie and how we, like, the conventions in cinema are weird, because they were established a long time ago, and it's just that we've gotten so used to them that we can't really imagine anything else. Like, it's also the sort of unwritten rule that you need to have, like, if you switch between shots, like every single time you make a cut in a scene, you want there to be consistency when it comes to movement or actions. So if you have someone reaching out and then you cut to a different angle, you don't want to repeat part of that reaching out, or to already have the reaching out being completed. Like artistically speaking, there's no reason why that has to be that way. There could be a lot of more efficient or aesthetically pleasing ways to do that. But because that got established as like the way to film, like already in the 20s, I think, like it's just what we've been doing forever. And now it feels really like everybody notices when you have a cut and you see part of someone's gesture, for example, repeated. Like that feels really, really weird to us. Doesn't have to per se, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching a Jackie Chan movie where, like one where he directed,
Yeah.
where he did that, because apparently in Hong Kong cinema you're supposed to show a hit twice. It's like once in the wide view and once in a close-up. When you watch those fight scenes, it throws you off a bit, because like you keep cutting to show you the exact thing that happened really close, in addition to your having already seen it from a distance, I guess for clarity's sake. But yeah, like it's interesting because the way we film is a form of storytelling. It's just a visual storytelling style.
Yeah.
And so much like writing, it can be influenced by whatever you want it to be, right? It can be whatever you want. As long as the intended message reaches the audience, it can look like whatever.
Our boy Yoshi back in the house, trying to eat the berry, and failing.
This is Yoshi, the 216th.
It's the same Yoshi, because they don't die, okay?
I see. Yoshi's just go to Yoshi Valhalla.
I'm a little bit alright with it. Well, it's certainly better than them just randomly dying and me being responsible for their deaths. That's just too much to bear, guys. I cannot.
Ah, that's a shame.
So close. I gotta say, one of the things that I love about Mario game, the Mario games, is that there's always these tiny little sub-games inside the main game. You know? Like, I don't know, it's not a big deal if I miss that one up, but if you nail it, it feels really satisfying.
Oh, Wiggler.
It has a name.
Oh, yeah.
It's Wiggles. Wiggler.
Yeah.
Wigglesby. Wigglesworth.
Wiggloskovich.
Wiggington.
Wiggington.
Wiggleberg.
I'm trying to find a way to work Bartholomew in there, but it's not working. Wiggle-olomew. Oh yeah, we gotta lose Yoshi for this. Sorry, gangster. Did they ever do this balloon thing ever again?
I think maybe in some of the new Super Mario Brothers games.
They brought Balloon Mario back.
You also have like Tiny Mario in those games where you can run on the water.
Aww.
Pretty cool.
That sounds adorable. Like itty bitty Mario.
It is adorable. He also has like this like higher pitched voice. It's pretty cute.
The Yoshi ghost. So disturbing.
Yeah.
Where was the...
There's a lot of cool Mario creepypasta out there as well. I think especially with Mario 64 actually.
I can imagine there's a lot of material in that, just generally speaking. It was so rich, you know, compared to all the 2D ones. This I will also say, like, it felt super rich.
Oh yeah. Damn, look at him go.
Was this not... Huh, I actually don't remember how to do this bit. Just fly over. Not today. Ghost Yoshi, not today.
I think when I was younger, I never thought to question why those ghosts look different. I just kind of did. I was just like, yeah, you know, it's
It's a different ghost.
a
Different ghost.
Yeah, I never thought that it was a Yoshi.
See what happens when you hang out with Frank. You're constantly learning stuff.
With great knowledge comes great realization of your own mess-ups.
With great knowledge comes great depression.
Yeah, sometimes with great knowledge comes great horror.
That's the door, but there's... Yep.
Nice.
This is how we roll.
That's right, we honor the Yoshis we murdered by collecting the coins with their faces on them.
We didn't murder them.
You're right, you're right.
They went home.
They went home. You're
They
right.
just went home.
They did. You're totally right. They went home to a farm in the sky.
Yeah, or just a farm.
The great big Yoshi farm in the sky where there's lots of Yoshi cherries and shells to eat.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I hate Lucky too.
Ah, cheeky.
I do like how he's the cameraman in Super Mario 64.
Oh yeah, that's right. He
Yeah.
is.
And how
Such
he
a
holds
great
the
gimmick.
starting sign in Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, that's also him.
Yeah. So he is pretty useful and, you know, decent in a lot of other Mario games, but here's just being a prick.
Ha. Stepped on your head.
How'd you like that, huh?
How'd you like them apples?
No, he did not like them.
No,
I'm pretty sure he did not.
he's not a fan. He doesn't do the apples.
Oh, that's just cowardly, man.
Here's a spiky thing. Here's my question. They have these spiky things as pets, and they just fling them at us.
That's pretty disturbing, yeah.
Not cool, man. I can't imagine flinging a pet at anybody. Oh, what I did like about this version of Mario is that, like, you can find ways to actually ride in the cloud. That was always super cool.
Kind of be like Goku.
There was a trick to this, right? Yeah, and it wasn't this, so... Right. Okay. We're getting to the higher levels now.
Yeah.
The tricks are, like, trixier. Okay. I did that on purpose.
Son Goku, look at him go.
Just want you both to know that I did that 100,000%.
On purpose, yeah.
Deliberately.
Yeah.
Let's go for a ride in this piece. What is that?
What is... Somebody's dog.
I mean, if I were to fling a pet at someone, it would probably be this one.
I think this pet has already been flung at someone. In fact,
Yeah.
It does
I
sound
think
like
it
it.
may have been tied to something and then it's now being whirled like a flail. Good lord.
It's so not cool. The doggy sounds upset.
Bark-olomew.
Bark-olomew.
Bark-olomew is not happy. Bark-olomew would really like you to stop.
Bark-olomew. Is that like Legolas but the dog?
Sure.
Uh-huh. Or not.
I was going for Nicholas, but like I'll take Legolas instead. That's more fun.
Nicholas. The dog.
Barkathy.
Barkathy.
Barkathan.
Barkathan.
Barkather?
Barkather. Reeves. Liked him as Superman.
No, he was amazing as Superman.
I like that he was friends with Robin Williams.
I also like, you know, Superman to not be grimdark, so that was cool.
Oh my god, yeah, the Henry Cavill ones were,
And it's such a shame because Henry Cavill could play like an uplifting and amazing Superman. He does actually have like the look and feel for Superman. It's just that they stuck him in horrible movies. Such a shame.
I thought the first one was alright, but I think my opinion might be biased because they put a Chris Cornell song in it.
Yeah, I'd
First
say you're biased because it was still. Like, yeah.
Alright, I appreciate you keeping it real.
No, but that's okay though, because that means that you were able to enjoy a shitty movie, which is awesome. Like, I would like for everybody to be able to have that.
Oh no, I'm gonna lose the feather. Bad news. Yeah, that entire bunch of DC films.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing. The biggest issue though is that just Zack Snyder doesn't get superheroes, and it's just so depressing they had him run like that cinematic universe. Like, Watchmen already showed everyone that Zack Snyder doesn't understand the comics that he's bringing to the big screen. Like, the whole thing about Watchmen was, God, isn't this depressing and sad, and aren't these vigilantes just kind of pathetic? And then Zack Snyder just went and adapted it to the big screen and was like, yeah, motherfuckers go bang. Like, it was just all about them punching and shooting and looking cool doing it. I was like, that's the exact opposite of the actual graphic novel.
Yeah.
And yeah, the same goes with what he did with Superman and Batman. It's just oh man.
But I felt like in Superman and Batman somehow he was trying to make it dark.
Oh yeah, that's completely his thing. It's just I don't think that works the way he did it, because I don't think they have to be cheerful or anything, but I do think that you need to keep in mind what makes the characters interesting and inspiring. And I don't think he ever realized what made Superman interesting. Like, Superman is supposed to inspire and be like an example, like a role model, and someone not being from here but still wanting to be from here and being one of us, like one of just the people. And you can make a dark and serious story about that. You can easily make a dark and interesting story about Superman feeling unwanted or feeling different or feeling like, which he literally is, feeling like an alien in the country he grew up in. Like, I think you can do a lot of those interesting stories, but what makes Superman Superman is that despite being different and despite not being from here, wanting to be a part of that community, wanting to do well by that community. And that's something that you don't see in the Zack Snyder movies, because it's just Superman sort of begrudgingly being like, well, I kind of hate people, but fuck it, I have super strength, I might as well help them, but I'm not going to enjoy doing it. Like, that's not the core of Superman. And that's, I think, the issue. It's not that Superman has to be like, well, gee golly, Lois, let's go save some kids. Like, that doesn't have to be the story. But Zack Snyder just completely ignored what makes those characters interesting, if you ask me. And that's just such a shame.
Yeah, I definitely get the whole being an alien thing. It's one of the things that I like so much about Data and Star Trek, you know, because it gives you a wonderful literary device to talk about like what people are like, you know, because here's this thing trying to understand, and Data definitely has some sort of personality, some sort of character, you know, he has tendencies and all of this, and so people definitely treat him just like he's a person, which is great, but at the same time it's clear that he's missing certain things, and his observing them is what like allows us to sort of rethink people, I guess, you know, rethink humanity a little bit. And it's such a great literary device. All these wonderful conversations between Picard and Data just about humanity and how absurd it is sometimes.
Well, that's the thing, like Superman, for example, you could use Superman to, you know, talk about what, like, to need this feeling of belonging, which is something that, I mean, Superman is adopted and he's literally from a different planet, and once he realizes that he has, you know, biological parents that he doesn't know about, or a culture that he doesn't know about, like, what does that mean to him? Like, that's something that's obviously relevant to a lot of people, either adopted or, for example, after losing a parent who's from a different country, or moving someplace at a young age. And you could also have, like, how does the American public treat Superman? Like, you could do a lot of stuff related to migration. But what the Zack Snyder movies did was basically like, Superman feels kind of different because he's better, so he's pissed about feeling different, so he takes it out on others. Like, that's pretty much the extent of it in those movies, which is completely missing the point, in a way, I love Tiny Yoshi. He's so cute.
It was. I love that he eats. He's a hungry little baby.
Ah, yeah.
Nom nom, feed me.
So cute.
This is not the Yoshi I thought it was, though. I wanted a different color. I wanted a different flavor of Yoshi. Is that cool to say?
That's disturbing.
Actually.
Yeah, that's.
No. Well, I've just paid for my sins with death.
But you saved the Yoshi.
Yeah, you saved. Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Okay.
Yoshi went on to live another day.
We lost one of the many vat-grown Marios, but we saved the Yoshi.
Oh yeah, we're not even talking about how come Mario has so many lives. What's going on with that?
So the canon explanation is that all of this is a play?
No, that's Mario Brothers 3, so... 2, I keep saying... no, 3, yeah, that's 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, that's definitely 3.
Yeah, that's 3.
Is it only 3? I thought that was like an excuse for the whole series.
No, it's just they don't care about canon. That's always been the Nintendo way.
Oh.
Okay.
Like, fans do. That's why we had the weird timeline thing with Zelda. But Nintendo...
To merge all the timelines, even though, like...
Nintendo does with Mario and Zelda kind of what George Miller does with Mad Max. Like, the Mad Max movies have no timeline. Like, in one movie, the apocalypse is still kind of almost taking place, like sort of society crumbling. That's the first Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
But then the second Mad Max movie, it looks like it's been a few decades since anything like that happened, but Mad Max is the same age. And in the third one, it's been like maybe even a few centuries, and we still have Max.
Are you still in there?
Then his car gets destroyed, but in a later movie, the car is back. Like, there's no... the thing is that was very deliberate, because George Miller talks about that, where he's like, I care about storytelling, and I care about the sort of art of oral, like, storytelling, where it's all about, like, oral history, where things get mixed up and things aren't all about the exact facts, but they're about like a feeling, like of a place, of a time, of a people. And he always looked at Max as like a character that keeps showing up in stories that people tell each other.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of what Nintendo has always been doing with Mario and The Legend of Zelda, where like whatever story they want to tell with Mario, they will. With Zelda, though, fans just went batshit crazy trying to puzzle it together because there were a couple of references in the games to other Zelda games.
But that's the way fandom always is, right?
Yeah.
They find they analyze everything to death. The answer, it's artistic, is never like an answer. But that's just because, you know, everything's a bell curve, right? So if we're asking the question, will you overanalyze a video game? There will always be a 3% who say yes in spades. For several thousand hours even.
And it's just such a shame because, I mean, I love that moment in The Wind Waker where you at one point come across like a statue of Link from Ocarina of Time. And you're like, whoa.
That
like,
happens, huh?
Yeah, and you're like, okay, so this is the same world. This is Hyrule, but just at a later point, and that's like a different character. And that, to me at least, is enough. Like that feeling of, you know, time having passed and of a different game you played being a legend in this new game. Like, I love that. But then fans have to be like, okay, so how many centuries has it been and which Zelda games took place in between those two? And that led to Nintendo actually just taking the fan theory of a split timeline and even making it more convoluted where there's 3 timelines.
There's 3.
Yeah, so you have a bunch of Zelda games just being placed in chronological order. So that's like the Minish Cap, Skyward Sword, and a couple of others. And then as soon as you hit Ocarina of Time, the timeline splits into 3. So you have the one where it's the near future, where an adult Link defeats Ganondorf and then just, you know, disappears. Then you also have, you know, the point in time where that Link returns from defeating Ganondorf as an adult, and he gets, you know, put back in his own timeline as a kid, and he gets to enjoy his actual childhood, which then leads to Majora's Mask and everything. But Nintendo had to find a way to also, you know, put a bunch of other Zelda games in a spot that made sense. So like, oh yeah, there's also a third timeline, which is Link dies. So the game over screen, basically. So yeah, that's the 3 timelines that we now have in Zelda.
So there's one where Link dies.
Yeah.
There's one where Link failed, there's one where Link succeeded as an adult, and one where he succeeded as a child, yeah. So like the first Legend of Zelda technically happens after Link fails, because by the time you get to the world in the first Legend of Zelda, Ganon won once already.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
Wait, one more time.
The first Legend of Zelda happens after Ganon has already won.
Ganon has won in the first Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
that's why all these villages are.
World,
yeah, that's why all these villages, for example, are named after like characters and places from Ocarina of Time, for example. I mean, that's not why they thought of those names, because they sounded cool, but Nintendo retroactively,
It was actually supposed to be a sci-fi game. I don't know if you know that one, but that was actually kind of cool. So Link is actually named Link because originally you were supposed to travel between the future and the past, and he is the Link.
But
so you would find items like computer chips in the original iteration of the game. But then they decided fantasy, just one like fantasy kind of theme was better. This was the original Legend of Zelda before it like actually took off.
But I thought like the whole thing was that Miyamoto basically made it as an homage to him in his childhood, like going through like exploring nature, and I thought that was always the thing where him exploring nature and going on adventures as a kid was like the main inspiration.
I don't know, maybe.
And I also I thought that he explained that like Link was meant as a link between the player and the game, but now I'm curious.
Yeah, I remember hearing that Link was going to be like the link between times, because like there was future and past things in it. I remember hearing that Link was based on Peter Pan to some extent.
Well, it certainly explains the outfit.
That was the inspiration for the outfit. Yeah, exactly.
Huh. So, in the first Legend of Zelda, Ganon has won.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then Link wins. No?
Yeah, so he wins the next one, but like
Yeah.
Ganon has already taken the world and done evil things to it, right?
So it's like Zelda. This time is for real.
Yeah, like Zelda 1 is like Mad Max Zelda. The world has already gone to crap, and then Link happens to it. Whereas like Ocarina Zelda is like Link has not done the thing yet, so it's a pre-Ganon world, I think.
Ocarina Zelda.
Yeah, like Ocarina of Time is like before this timeline splits, I think.
Yeah.
And which one is A Link to the Past?
Link to the Past. Where does Link to the Past fall in the timeline? I don't know. I don't recall anymore. There was like an actual.
I think that's after the. I think that's in the timeline where mature Link defeats. Where adult Link defeats Ganondorf and then disappears, of course, because he's off to have a childhood. I think that's that timeline, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Link to the Past is just after Zelda 1 and 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much I didn't know about Zelda. I remember when that game first came out, it was bananas. I was absolutely revolutionary.
Oh yeah.
Because everything prior to that point had been so linear, you know? Like, even Super Mario Bros., which was a huge deal when it came out, was also completely linear, right? Like, you go from one stage to the next or whatever. This idea of just being able to walk around a world.
So, A Link to the Past happens in the era where where Link failed the first time.
Oh yeah, it's even before Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that timeline, yeah.
So is Link's Awakening. The original Legend of Zelda happens at the end of that time period. So technically, yeah, Link to the Past happened first, then Legend of Zelda, then The Adventure of Link. In the child timeline, where he succeeded as a child, we have Majora's Mask, as well as a number of other games like Twilight Princess. Then in the adult timeline, we have The Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and a few other things. And then Skyward Sword happens first because, I don't know, screw you.
Because I feel like it. It's the Skyward Sword. It's facing the sky. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, fans want it to make sense, and so then they have to make sense of it. In a way, it's a bit of a pity, because I guess that's unnecessary, but I don't know, maybe it adds something to the lore, you know? To have, like, statues of Link appear and to be wondering why they're there and all that. I would definitely play through the Zelda games. I've not gone through Breath of the Wild, but I also never played, like, literally any of the 3D ones. So the ones on N64, which, they look so cool, but for some reason I just never got into them. They were just 2D to me.
I
Pity, actually.
I got Majora's Mask for the 64 way back when, as a kid. And that's still, like, there's some games where you're just really sad that you're not able to play them because they just don't work for you. Like, that's Majora's Mask for me, because it's like, when it comes to, like, the atmosphere and the soundtrack and the setting, like, and the storytelling, like, it's easily one of my favorite Zelda games.
Okay.
But I just get way too stressed out by the time loop. So you also all the time you have, like, a limited amount of time before you have to, go back in time and do your thing. And I cannot play games that have, like, deadlines, and I'm horrible at that. So that's a shame, because I love that one. But I almost finished Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, like the 3D remaster.
How was that?
Really, really fun. Never completely finished it though. I did finish Breath of the Wild. I still think that might be the only. And I also finished Phantom Hourglass, but it's like a spin-off. So I haven't finished that many Zelda games actually. Yeah.
So you never played the 2D ones?
Link to the Past.
Okay. Awesome.
The original bit.
Oh, you played the OG?
Yeah. The second one as well.
I'm so sorry. It's so hard.
Oh yeah, it is. Minish Cap for a bit. I love the look of Minish Cap. So good.
I remember trying to play the Game Boy one and just finding it completely impossible.
The Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Season.
Whatever it was called.
Yeah.
It was...
Or Link's Awakening.
I think it was Link's Awakening.
Oh, yeah.
I struggled with it so much.
Oh, man.
So much.
But he awakened.
Yeah.
Hey, there we have another dream. Yeah.
Then again, I guess in your iteration, he stayed asleep. But
Yeah, he just kept sleeping. Or he woke up and then went back to sleep. He's like, nah, not doing this.
the heroes arrived. Nope. Okay, never mind.